Today I want to talk about what makes LOTR so great. And it's not just its themes and its story or narrative, but recently I think it's the only story that I've read which really just changed the way I see storytelling, I think. And this all happened when I finished an anime um, called Monster by Urasawa. And basically it follows a doctor, Dr. Tenma, and how he saves a serial killer unknowingly. Um, and so this results in this kind of cat and mouse chase where Tenma is trying to find Johan, and he does not know at this point Johan's intentions, whether Johan is a psychopath and he's just fleeing for his life, or if he's mocking Tenma, or if there's this greater sort of motive that Tenma doesn't know about, that Johan is kind of hiding from him or dropping hints or breadcrumbs for him to follow. But yeah, it results in a very interesting narrative, and I would never have thought that something as different as anime to Lord of the Rings would make me see Tolkien in a different way or make me appreciate his work more. But it really did, and I think it really stems from just how well he made his legendarium. I mean, if you look at the metaphysics of I don't know how to pronounce it, but if you just look at his wider legendarium, and his universe and the way his world works, there's just so many things that that point to themes present in Monster and throughout many other stories. For one, Tolkien was a Christian, or not a Christian, he was a Roman Catholic, I believe. So, I mean, he had Christian ideas, but he bases a lot of his stories and legendarium on Catholic Christian ideas. And that would usually point him towards a more Boethian idea, which is that evil is the absence of good. So his version of morality is that good was always existing. It was superior, and evil can only corrupt that good, and that's how it can exist. It can never create, but it can only corrupt. And this theme it just applies to so many different things. We can see this in love, for example, which is also very prevalent in Monster. But you see how love can sort of transcend throughout antagonist and protagonist. You can see this in Sauron. He had a love for order and control, and he always had the good intent to better Arda, make it better, and make it seem just orderly and more coherent. And that good intention and that passion and love for order and control would make him fall eventually and corrupt him. Also, you can see this in our protagonists, like Boromir, for example. He steals or attempts to steal the ring from Frodo because he wanted Gondor to use the ring to basically wield it against its own enemy. So evil against evil. He would use the ring to fight evil and defeat the Dark Lord. You see it in Gandalf. I mean, Gandalf rejects the ring, but had Frodo given it to him, or had Gandalf succumbed to that desire, he would use the ring out of a good intention, probably defeat Sauron, but in his place, a new Dark Lord would emerge, and it'll probably be worse than Sauron. So it's like this corruption of good traits. I mean, you could probably see this in any narrative probably, but I've been obsessed with LTR, so that's the only thing I could really compare it to. But in Monster, I think Urasawa also uses this Boethian idea, because he doesn't paint Johan as a psychopath or a devil-like figure. That he's more like a Sauron, I feel, than like a Morgoth if we take it into an LOTR lens. Because Johann, actually, in his childhood, he never did things out of hatred, really. It was mostly fear that drove him first, but it was also this love for his sister. His sister was suffered like a very bad trauma. She witnessed a mass murder, and when she came back from it, she told Johann of these happenings, and it just kind of reaffirmed in Johann's mind that this world was had nothing but monsters, and that because of this, he needed to protect his sister from it. And that's what makes him, as twisted as this love is, that this type of love and his will to protect his sister is what makes him become a serial killer, basically, as to protect their location, their identity from the monsters of the world, just to prevent them from finding him. Yeah, it's just like there's so many ideas, and it's just crazy because Lord of the Rings is just such a fantastical story. It's a fantasy genre. It incorporates magic, and it has elves, and it tells a story of, well, 4-foot humans and a man wielding a sword and a dwarf wielding an axe and an elf with a bow, and how they have to drop this magical ring into the pits of Mount Doom in this volcano in order to destroy Dark Lord. In no way did I ever think that, this would relate to such a real story that seems so close to, well, a little bit close to him, kind of, but very real, where it takes place in Germany, and a doctor just pursues a serial killer. It's just very real. So in no way did I ever think that these two stories could ever relate in that way, but they did, and I'm still in the process of making those connections, because there's just so many things that's so fascinating, and I can't go into depth about this without spoiling it. But yeah, I wanted to say just how much this made me appreciate not only Tolkien's work more, but anime too, in some way, because I guess the connections between any sort of story, literature, or narrative is what makes this art so much more enjoyable, I guess, just seeing parts and spirits of one story into another. I could sense Sauron or Frodo or elves inside Monster, and I could sort of apply it. It's so cool. I know I'm probably stating the obvious at this point, because the Bible is sort of this thing too, that I know a lot of people say that it sort of serves as the roots of storytelling, where you see kind of elements of the Bible throughout a lot of different literature, like on morality, good and evil, like devil, many of the falls of humans and Satan. You get a lot of its themes too, which are very prevalent in many stories. But yeah, LOTR, I've never expected it to be like this in depth, and I think it helps that it's Tolkien's masterwork, and it's his legendarium that he spent so long creating and nurturing and editing, because ultimately it's like a framework of our lives, just in a fantasy setting, and it's just, I guess it gives us another perspective into things. Like, for example, he has this thing where, like, each race represents the traits within us. Like, elves have wisdom, humans have ambition, I believe, and then dwarves have bravery or courage, I think. And then each of these traits have their own downsides. So elves, maybe their wisdom turns into pride. Human ambition turns into like this lust for power, and then dwarves' courage and bravery can turn into greed. I mean, they were always greedy, but yeah, it's just this idea that there's always the good things, the good traits, and they could turn evil. And yeah, as much as we've probably seen it, I just think it's really intriguing how, yeah, you can disconnect. Yeah, that's all I want to say for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I see you soon. Bye.